The coworker collaborated with my family, who each year added something new to my modest collection. Which brings me to my first passenger train piece, a red plastic body 650 New Haven that you see here in the foreground. Although it was damaged by probably UV and sun exposure, it was what constituted my passenger fleet. I also received an unpainted red body 718 New Haven operating mail pickup car in the background, also with some damage and sun fading. Nonetheless, they operated to my satisfaction. I never had any vision to use these beyond just an occasional demonstration of the mail car pickup and delivery. This one struggled with a replacement rivet on the front where it looks like the other one had been torn out. So I did the best job I could at the time to rebuild that one, but it works. It'll deliver the mail and pick it up. And then this one also had some structural damage on the other side where some of the window struts are missing and part of the body is cracked right there. So I didn't really have any long-term vision to use them over and over again. But recently, based on some photography in classic trains, I did begin to develop a vision that I wanted to create a mail train, mail baggage train, because I'd seen several in classic trains, and a colleague thought that would be a great idea. So I was very fortunate not too long ago to acquire a downsized collection of American Flyer, much of which I've featured in a couple of videos so far and will be a part of future videos as well as I add them to my collection, rebuild them and add them to my collection. I was able to acquire two 651 Railway Express REA baggage cars, one in red and one in green, in what I consider to be very good condition. Neither are illuminated, which I don't have any plans to do, but I did notice that they had some Mylar in the windows, which not all of them have. And this is the green one, again in very good condition. With that collection came a 718 operating baggage car, the 718 RE operating baggage car. So I started rebuilding it, and it got presented with some new problems that I had never seen before. I went ahead and started the rebuild, and that constituted cleaning up the body with washing. It's already been done. Some disassembly on the chassis and the mechanism or structure of the mail baggage door and arm and everything. The usual stuff, polishing and cleaning contact wheels and the plastic wheels. And also I noticed that the mail bag that came with this, it had been trapped back behind the door. How it got there, I don't know, because the door, of course, swings out and there's no space between it to get it back there, at least not that I've ever seen. But it was back here in this chamber along the long side of the car. And here it is. As you can see, it's fractured. The handles look like they're a little bit worn out or corroded. It's got some unusual pitting or stains on it. But one of the things I noticed is that my first inclination is that, okay, this must have been homemade. Somebody must have created a mold, put some plastic in there, or some substance, and created another mail bag. Well, I got to doubting that, because one is white. That would have been tough to emulate this white without painting. This one is not painted. This is plastic, white plastic. But the other thing that you can see on here is the relief and the clarity of the American Flyer lines that was stamped into all of these bags. You see it on that side, as well as this side. See if I got it upside down. Yep. No, I did not have it upside down. So the American Flyer lines still had good relief and was very readable, which made me believe that it was not a homemade mold that did this, because it would have been very difficult to pressure pump that into a finely built or manufactured mold to get that kind of clarity in those raised letters, especially when you compare it to a couple of vintage ones, such as this red one. and a green one that came from my stock. I think, at least from my opinion, I think the rest of the story about the damage to this mailbag will make some sense when we look at the rest of it. But notice again the fracturing, the fact that it looks like it's been deflated. Compare its width to a vintage which is undamaged. Almost looks like somebody let the air out of it. The damage to the handles, and then this unusual pitting and staining. Before I show some still photography, a series of still photographs made that are kind of like before shots before I started cleaning this up, because I wanted you to see something that was very unusual. I want to mention one best practice or standard that I've adopted, and that is in regard to the removal of pins in the corners of a passenger car, a mail car, mail baggage car, box car, where they're held in place by pin, and even some screws held in, like on the 652 series. What I've started doing is turning these cars over and placing a drop on each pin using 3-in-1 penetrating oil and letting it stay there for 24 hours while it goes in around that pin. Now, it's not going to damage the plastic. I've had no issues with that. It washes out very easily. You can blow dry these pinholes very easily. And the reason I do that is I have fractured several of these shafts that the pins go into, just trying to use brute force. I've even fractured the bodies on these sometimes, trying to leverage them out by creating a lever to push them out. And even on the ones that screw in, the same thing, because there's another factor. There is the oxidation possibility, or corrosion, call it what you want to, even rust. But there might also be some shrinkage in this plastic, which is really seen on that 652 series. So I soak them, and they're much easier to remove.